From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Tuesday morning. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. We begin this Tuesday morning with the latest on the pandemic. Billings Clinic is again calling on the National Guard as the hospital deals with a surge in COVID-19 cases. There are 44 patients infected with the virus staying there. 16 of them are in the ICU, with half on ventilators. It's the most COVID-19 patients at the hospital since December, and non-medically necessary procedures have now been put on hold. Billings Clinic officials say for now they have enough beds. Their biggest worry and the reason they're requesting help from the Guard has to do with staffing.
We are actively trying to expand our capacity, physical spaces where we can accommodate more patients. Although we're able to get more space, one of our biggest challenge is that having enough healthcare providers and workers, such as nurses and ancillary staff, to be able to man those beds.
All 8 of the patients on ventilators are not vaccinated against COVID-19. And staffing shortages like this are being felt nationwide. A new survey found 62% of intensive care unit nurses are burned out. As CBS's Dr. Tara Narula spoke to ICU nurses who left their frontline jobs or dropped out of the profession.
For 7 years, Paulette Rangel worked overnights as an ICU nurse in Phoenix. When COVID came calling last year, Rangel and her co-workers stepped up.
Some nurses were working 4, 5, 6 days a week, 12-hour shifts.
Rangel says her training gave her the skills to respond to a pandemic, but did not prepare her for the emotional toll.
It takes a lot out of you. We wanted to be there for our patients, but when we're running on fumes, it's hard to do that.
Back home after her shifts, Rangel's distress was obvious.
I would go straight to my room. Talking to my husband, I was just telling him, I really don't want to get you guys sick.
After trying counseling and antidepressants, Rangel switched to a job in community health, seeing healthier patients during daytime hours.
The problems that we see in nursing now are not new. It's that high level that we had before COVID that's made it just really out of hand now.
Linda Aiken teaches and studies nursing at the University of Pennsylvania.
We have a robust supply of nurses. The problem is that we don't have enough funded, permanent, full-time positions for nurses in the settings where they're needed, namely hospitals, nursing homes, and schools.
There are no federal limits on patient-to-nurse ratios. California is the only state that has set minimum staffing standards. Aiken says the workload varies widely, with nurses in some hospitals caring for as many as 10 patients. In the early months of the pandemic, Christopher Hayes hit the road as a travel nurse.
What is it that really wore you down the most during the pandemic?
Getting used to the amount of people that were dying from COVID, and then talking to their family members after they died.
As Hayes rotated through 4 hospitals in Texas and Oklahoma, he saw a pattern.
People just still honestly do not understand how severe this is, how bad staffing for nursing is.
Hayes is now taking a break from nursing to recharge. He opened a CBD store, hoping to heal people in a different way. Dr. Tara Narula, CBS News, New York.
On the campus of Montana State University, a couple is donating more than $100 million to help ensure medical staffing issues become a thing of the past. Mark and Robin Jones, owners of Goosehead Insurance, are giving the money to the university's nursing program. Using the large gift, the school plans to build 5 new buildings for their nursing campuses across the state, including one here in Billings. The donation will also fund new scholarships and allow the school to hire more professors.
So we get all this money and people see a dollar sign in front of it, but it's, if I were to need care tomorrow in the hospital, I want the right person to be there, and I want somebody that has had all the opportunities to take care of me. Somebody has to go through training, somebody has to go through school to take care of you, and this is giving so many more people that opportunity.
Neither Mark or Robin Jones are MSU grads. They say they chose Montana State because the school has great leadership that brought forth a problem the couple could help. The $101 million donation is the largest amount given to a College of Nursing program throughout the entire country. At MSU Billings, classes get underway a week from tomorrow. When they begin, university officials are expecting more than 40 international students. Across the nation, colleges have seen a decline in the number of people coming to the U.S. to learn, and the pandemic is to blame. Last year, travel was so limited, not many students could even make it here. But things are different in 2021, and at MSUB, leaders say the 44 international students set to be on campus this fall is 20% more than 2019.
It's an ever-changing game, but I think we're also a smaller university in a smaller city. So some of those trends tend to wipe us out in one year, but then next year we're back. So I hate to say that we're doing really well because that might jinx us, but you know, standing here right now, we're cautiously optimistic.
MSUB has students enrolled from countries in Europe, Asia, South America, and Africa. Now it's time to get a check of weather with Miller. Miller, we have one more hot day upon us.
Yep, August goes out with a little bit of a gut punch to us, trying to get us back into the 90s. In fact, you're going to see a lot of 90s across the board today, but hang in there. We do have cooler temperatures on the way. There's a waning crescent moon this morning, about 39% illuminated, absolutely gorgeous. Great shot there, courtesy of the Stockman Bank weather cam. 65 at the airport. It's dry out there. Humidity at 36%. That's going to be an issue today. We'll tell you why here in just a bit. Winds out of the southwest at about 15 miles an hour. Let's crunch those numbers. Our high yesterday knocked on the door of 90. Didn't quite get there. We hit 89, well above average. Our overnight low pretty much on target where we should be. Of course, no rain yesterday, but check this out. The monthly total, 2.44 inches. We're not going to get any rain today, but with that total, this wraps up as the third wettest August on record. Now, we're going to be dry the next couple of days, but we do have a chance of rain later this week, maybe on Friday. Just a slight chance, but at least it's some much needed rain heading our way. Right now, we're looking at temperatures in the 50s and 60s. Highs today, like I mentioned, a lot of 90s across the board. Some areas even trying to flirt with maybe near 100 degrees, but hang in there. A cold front coming through that's going to help things out. We'll take a look at that and more with the main forecast coming up in just a bit, kiddo.
All right, sounds like a good plan. I will get back to news. Thanks, Miller. The United States' longest war has officially come to an end. The Taliban now have full control of Afghanistan, and the last U.S. troops have left the country. CBS's Bradley Blackburn has more on the historic moment and what happens now to Americans and Afghans left behind.
This grainy night vision image captures Major General Chris Donahue of the 82nd Airborne Division as he boarded a C-17 cargo plane, the last American service member to leave Afghanistan in America's longest war. With wheels up, it was the official end to a 20-year conflict. The final troops left Kabul's airport exactly 1 minute before President Biden's deadline for withdrawal.
And the last manned aircraft is now clearing the airspace above Afghanistan.
Some Afghans marked the moment with celebrations in the street. Others fired guns in the night sky. The Taliban now have full control of the airport. This video reportedly showing the moment they walked on the tarmac. With the U.S. military out, the State Department is now in charge of helping to evacuate Afghan allies and any remaining American citizens who wish to leave. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says between 100 to 200 Americans are still in Afghanistan.
The military mission is over. A new diplomatic mission has begun.
The United States military has begun strikes.
The conflict began with President Bush's orders after the 9/11 attacks. In 20 years, nearly 2,500 American service members lost their lives, tens of thousands more injured. Among the last casualties, Marines who were too young to remember the war's start.
We honor their sacrifice today as we remember their heroic accomplishments.
The sacrifices of a long war that is now over. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
More than 1,100 troops from coalition countries and more than 100,000 Afghan forces and civilians died in the conflict. President Biden plans to speak to the nation later today about the end of the war. In the rush to evacuate, billions of dollars in military equipment was left behind, including aircrafts, Humvees, and other vehicles. Officials say that equipment was demilitarized, so it cannot be used. Western Montana is welcoming 9 Afghan refugees. It's part of the federal government's special immigration visa program. All 9 of them are people who helped the American effort during the war, with most serving as interpreters. The International Rescue Committee in Missoula is in charge of helping the Afghans successfully settle here in Montana. That means assisting them in finding jobs, housing, and schooling for their children. The IRC has helped more than 400 refugees within the last 5 years. 80% of those are self-sufficient within their first 90 days stateside.
And again, that means they are on their own. They are paying for their rent. They are paying for their groceries and everything else. Paying for daycare if they have a child in daycare.
The deputy director of the committee is urging community members to help make their new neighbors feel at home. He says just a smile can go a long way. Also making headlines this morning, the remnants of Hurricane Ida are still battering the South. This is the aftermath of a highway collapse in Mississippi. 2 people were killed and 10 others were injured when part of the road was washed away. 7 vehicles went in the hole created by the washout, which was 50 feet in length and 20 feet deep. Ida is churning northward this morning, leaving widespread power outages in its wake. CBS's Michael George has more on the powerful and deadly storm.
A massive emergency response is now underway after Hurricane Ida blasted the Gulf Coast.
They just start falling apart, blowing away on me. I ain't got a dry spot in the house.
The storm delivered its hardest hit to Louisiana after making landfall there on Sunday. These homes in Houma, in the southern part of the state, among those that are now unrecognizable to their owners.
We'll make it, though. I know somebody will be there to give me a hand, so excuse me, guys.
Over 5,000 National Guard troops have been deployed across the state, and some 3,600 FEMA employees are headed to the region.
We know that individuals are out there waiting to be rescued. Please know that we have thousands of people out right now with high water vehicles and boats who are doing search and rescue.
Residents who evacuated were urged to stay away while first responders look for survivors. Here in New Orleans, the mayor has said no one will be left behind, but people here will be left in the dark. The power in the metro area won't be restored for several days. Louisiana's levee system appears to have mostly held up against Ida. Its electrical grid did not. Over 1 million homes and businesses were left without power.
It is going to be hot here. So I know that people are going to be making accommodations to go someplace where they can get air conditioning.
The National Weather Service predicted the city's heat index could rise to a potentially life-threatening 103 degrees today. Michael George, CBS News, Bridge City, Louisiana.
Ida was downgraded to a tropical depression on Monday afternoon. The storm is expected to continue to weaken as it moves northward, though it could still cause flash flooding in some places. Thank you so much for starting your day with us here on Montana This Morning.